Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then, the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Emily Ferrier, here to bring you my favorite weird news stories that have kept me up till the wee hours of the morn, literally, tonight. Starting us off this week, the Noosa Temple of Satan has warned it could use the Religious Discrimination Bill to teach school kids about Satanism if the waste of time law passed Parliament. So the group declared that it would aggressively use the laws if passed and access all the privileges that it guarantees in the submission of this bill. The statement was sent off on behalf of the group by Brother Samuel Demogorgon. And if you know what a Demogorgon is, of course, it's the thing that ate Sean Astin and ruined Winona Ryder's chance of love in Stranger Things. Also a demon associated with the underworld. So the statement read, Satan has great plans for the future of Noosa and Australia, and we intend to use every avenue available to reach our goals. Simply put, Noosa Satanists feel the proposed religious discrimination bill is completely unnecessary and a waste of this federal government's time, the statement read. I mean, it tells it like it is, and we can all appreciate that, I think, right? It's impressive, spelling it all out like that. Should this Parliament vote to enact this legislation, then Satanists across Australia will aggressively use this law to ensure that we can access all the privileges it guarantees. The group listed a school breakfast program, which I assume include feasting on live goats, the blood of the innocent, and eggs Florentine, because let's be honest, they are better than deviled eggs. Bands, of course, and weekend camps, also proposals. I wonder what they would do on those weekend camps. Like, what would a Satanist weekend camp look like? How do you schedule Satan into just a couple of days? Like, at dawn, we charm the snakes, followed by a ritualistic pumpkin carving, pumpkin, of course, being my pet name for Uncle Joe. And then by sundown, we aspirate out of our bodies. In the statement, the group said that they wanted to promote free thinking and bodily autonomy. We want people to think for themselves. We are about freedom and rational thinking. And now I kind of feel badly for what I said before about all of the silly stuff I said, and I feel badly and I take it all back and I'm sorry. This is actually, it's quite pleasant, isn't it? They want children and the public to know about Satanism, freedom and knowledge. It's fair enough. If we teach them about other religions, why not teach them about this? Right? Maybe? So, the proposed laws for the second round for public comment is open until the end of January, so get in your comments now. Okay? Proposed laws would make it illegal to discriminate against someone based on their religion. That's good. That's good. We want that, right? We want that. All good things. However, there are a few fears that it might mean that certain medical professions would be able to refuse certain procedures on religious grounds. So that's a little concerning. I mean, of course, freedom of religion, fantastic. But when it could put someone in immediate medical danger, that's where it becomes a little dicey, isn't it? That's a little concerning now. I'm not sure where I stand on this one. Maybe comment if you can to talk about that. In a statement, the TOS claimed that it would open the gates of hell onto the streets of Australia if the bill is passed. The streets of hell. A bill about religious discrimination. Would we say that that's maybe over the top a little bit? On a more serious note, the NUSA says that it's affiliated with Satanic Australia. It does not appear to be associated with the Church of Satan or the Satanic Temple. Those are all different things. So that's all different. Let's just keep that in mind. The TOS lists 7 core beliefs on its page: compassion, justice, freedom, autonomy, reason, accountability, and wisdom. Okay? All quite nice, actually. Those are very nice things. We're not a ritual or magic group, says the website. Not a ritual or magic group. Okay. I think I don't know enough about this, maybe. Because from what I understand it, Satanism was rooted in paganism, but it doesn't seem, maybe that's not true. I'm not sure. Maybe write into me about this one. Okay. So another couple of groups have been kind of expressing their opposition to the proposed laws and have prepared to protest outside of the town hall. So apparently the laws might be an attack on the LGBTQI folk, peoples with disability, racial and ethnic, religious minorities. So what do we think? What do we think on this one? What do we think? Do we think this is a good bill? We should go forward with this, learn a little bit about different religions. Do we think this might be too far? What do we think? I'm a little bit nervous about it all, but that is because I don't quite understand it. And we're always scared of things that we don't understand, right? When we return, another thing that scares me just a little bit, maybe again because I don't fully understand it, Tulsi Gabbard, when we return.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back. Before the break, we talked about Satanism bills, and now we're talking about another thing that kind of scares me. A man challenged Tulsi Gabbard to a push-up contest, and he lost. Breaking news, weird news. The reason I picked it as weird news is not because a woman won a push-up contest. I've won several myself. It's because a Democratic presidential candidate won a push-up contest. You know? Kind of loved that. Big fan of that. So, Tulsi Gabbard taking questions at a town hall, right? Setting the stage here. She's in New Hampshire. A man in the crowd asks the congresswoman and Iraq war veteran about former Vice President Joe Biden. Okay? Joe Biden has randomly challenged people in the audience to a push-up contest, even if they're in walkers. Do you think you could take him? Says the man who challenged her. And Gabbard says, my educated and informed guess would be yes, but I would take most people in a push-up challenge. What a beast. Absolutely love that response. She's such a boss, and I'm not just saying that because she kind of scares me. She is so cool. Okay, so, in heels, begins to do push-ups. Everyone's, like, videoing it, like, cheering her on, you know. And the guy that challenged her, like, kind of collapses and rolls over. I mean, he's hamming it up a little bit, but it's very funny. And she's, like, gloating, you know, she's doing the whole, like, celebrating and all that kind of stuff. They shook hands, all of that. I kind of just, I really like a story where, like, it shows, like, these people, they're kind of supposed to, you know, kind of be, like, more together and professional in their relations, like, their relation to the people that they're trying to gain supporters from. I like it when they let that slip a little bit and they kind of, you know, just act like average Joe Janes, you know? Just having a bit of a competitive edge there. A little bit of fun. And Tulsi Gabbard, she's posted videos on social media before of her workouts. You know, as she runs for president. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Runs, you know. Okay. And she's trained in martial arts. She surfs. She's fitnessy. She's fitnessy. And I like that she posted online. Why not, right? Like, show that you're physically capable as well as mentally capable for a job. It's pretty cool. I mean, the real story here, why men always think that they're stronger than women. And, oh, how funny is this? You know, like, you're not going to be stronger than every woman. You know, you got to get over that. Plus, she's got a lot of sheer will and determination that, like, even if she couldn't do push-ups, she still would, you know. And I like that. I'm a fan of that. Next, we're going to talk about Amy Klobuchar scaling a building and Bernie Sanders punching a bear in the face. I'm kidding. We're going to talk about toilets. We're going to talk about toilets when we return from this next break.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back. When we left, we were talking about Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard doing some push-ups, and now we're going to talk about a new toilet design set to increase productivity. by, of course, making toilets horrible and uncomfortable to sit on. So these toilets, they're made in the UK, and they're made so that they're kind of sloped downward on an angle, a 13-degree angle, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I guess if you're sitting on it, would kind of force you to feel like you were going downward. Wouldn't be super pleasant. So, according to the developer, whose name is Mahabar Gill, it's to increase strain on the legs, like a very gentle squat thrust. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done a fitness class out there, but when they say gentle squat thrust, what they mean is you won't be able to walk for weeks, right? Like, that's not the way that you want to relax on the toilet, is it? So 13 degrees is the idea. Although they've considered increasing it as much as 35 degrees, which just sounds like a mess, doesn't it? I don't think that that's smart to be screwing with toilet placement like that. Apparently, this would reduce your time on the toilet by 30%. I don't know who's spending that much time on the toilet, but if they really don't want you to sit down, I guess if you're a texter, are you a toilet texter? Are you a toilet texter? Admit that you are. Admit that you're listening to this on the toilet right now. So this is the idea, right? To decrease this. To decrease this not productivity on the toilet. That's not what I meant. The inactivity, I guess, while they're on the toilet. Apparently they spend, like, the average person spends 25% more time in toilets than necessary. So, productivity-wise, it could increase profits by $31 billion per year. I don't know where they're getting these average costs from. Like, what companies are you interviewing or finding the numbers for that you're getting $31 billion lost on the can, you know? That seems like a lot. Okay. Wow. Alright. I mean, that seems high to me. That seems high. But hey, if that's what you think, that's what you think. Anyway, the toilet itself was met with a little bit of criticism online, particularly on Twitter. Douglas Price writes, "This violates ADA standards for accessible toilet facilities. Installing this would put a facility owner at risk of immediate legal action. I can't see this being accepted by any building department that's not completely in the bag." Morgan Contrail writes, "Isn't this violating all kinds of accessibility standards? Blank anyone with bad legs, balance, poor or no hip control, and any kind of paralysis." Yeah, this is where it gets a little iffy, isn't it? Because I actually didn't even think about this, being an able-bodied person. That's just my privilege. I genuinely didn't think about how that would affect other, people with other abilities. But the standard toilet said in a statement that there were numerous health benefits for the slope for general consumers and persons dealing with disabilities. Medical studies have suggested that using the traditional can cause swollen hemorrhoids and weakening of pelvic muscles. The standard toilet provides increased comfort through promoting engagement of upper and lower leg muscles, which help reduce musculoskeletal disorders. Sorry, I stumbled all over that word. So they seem to combat this. I'm not sure like how much studying there has been on this placement of the toilet with different types of bodies. I'm not sure like how much data there is to back this. This is a pretty new sort of thing to be like using toilets like these. I mean, not like humans went to the bathroom without toilets for a very, very long time, much longer than we've had toilets for, but you know, we have become accustomed to this. So, who knows, really, right? Viewing time spent in the toilet as a threat is the wrong way of looking at the issue entirely. I think the importance of the toilet as a refuge during the workdays says more about inadequate workspaces, heavy workloads, and unsupportive management than it does about the workers themselves, said the co-author of the Toilet Project. I kind of agree with that. I think that if people are escaping to the toilet, you know what? I'm guilty. I've done it. I'm doing it right now. I'm kidding. I'm not. But I definitely have in various jobs gone to a toilet stall just to either get a moment to sit down. I've done a lot of like freelance work as like a server where they don't give you an actual break and don't have to because you're freelance. And that's the only time you get to sit down during the day or take a load off or rest or just stop hearing people scream at you. And yeah, why don't you try giving people a break space? Some more comfortable seats, you know, like a little bit of me time maybe at work, and that should increase productivity. I think it would for me, at least. A 2017 study found that 89% of Americans equated the quality of their toilet facilities with the regard they held for their organization. Okay. And in the UK, 16.5% of workers were unsatisfied at work due to the office toilets not being up to scratch. Okay, that's a huge discrepancy, 16.5% versus 89%. However, British people seem to be less likely to complain. They tend to hide their feelings a little bit. I think it's kind of weird to design a toilet that would deter people from sitting on it. Feels kind of inhumane, actually. It feels like an old-timey like torture device to stop people from enjoying their breaks. When we come back, we're going to talk about the food that gets you onto the toilet.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and one championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about sloped toilets, and now some disgusting McDonald's news. A 20-year-old McDonald's burger, still looking brand new, and smells a bit like cardboard. Yeah. A burger that is old enough to vote and nearly old enough to drink. Actually, this year it will be. So this McDonald's burger was purchased in 1999. And if you look at the video, it looks new. It looks completely new. It looks like a McDonald's burger that I could have walked out with today. According to the person that owns it, it smells faintly like cardboard. So all of the jokes that we made about McDonald's were true. It is made of cardboard. I mean, this is old. This is old. So he did, like, he didn't forget about it. He bought it. His name's David Whipple. He bought it to study enzymes and deterioration. He says, it got stuck in a coat pocket. The coat got thrown into the back of my van, and I guess I just hung it up in our closet. Then we moved, stayed there for a couple of years, thought that my wife had gotten the coat away, found it. Okay? So then when he found it in 2013, put it back into a tin to store it to continue to study it, right? So when he found out the tin again to open it up and study it, the pickle had obviously gone off. It's a vegetable, but the burger and bun looked the same. The major difference is that the burger now has a faint cardboard smell, he says. This is a little concerning, right? I don't know about you guys, but I definitely had a lot of McDonald's back in the day. Now that I'm a vegetarian, I don't really eat a lot. I hate to be preachy. I'm absolutely not preaching that you should be. I'm just saying that I am. So, that's concerning as to what I put into my body, isn't it? A little bit. I wanted to look into this, like the cooking of McDonald's a little bit more and why this might have happened. So I found an article detailing a Kenji Lopez Alt, a trained chef who performed some experiments to see why these things were preserved. He came up with 5 different hypotheses, so I'm gonna hit you with them, okay? So there was some presence of preservative in the meat or bun, high salt content, low moisture content, no mold spores ever coming into contact with the burger, or no air where the burger was prepared. How was that possible? No air with it. Okay, anyway. So the burger was cooked where there is air, and mold spores are fairly present no matter where you go. But would have been killed when, of course, the burger was cooked. So those two, anyway, didn't really work. So the ingredients for the McDonald's bun, not that different than the ones you get at the store. Claimed to be 100% beef patty, not really enough preservatives. So he wanted to test them. He made 9 different patties, some with salt, some no salt. Tried different packaging, never making direct hand to patty contact. All left in the open air. 3 weeks later, McDonald's food, no rotting. But neither did his homemade patties. Okay? So the ones with no salt looked no different than the added salt. So that's still not quite there. The key was the moisture levels. Burgers lost half their weight within a week. So they just dried out. They dried out. Without the moisture, no mold can grow. Like beef jerky. That makes sense, actually. Okay. So if it's sealed in a plastic bag, it would be all moldy in a week. But out in the air, not so much. So, because it had already been dried out, I guess, and then before he put it into his coat, there was no breeding grounds for the mold? Ability for the mold to grow? Huh. Right. I guess that makes sense. I still don't think that it sounds the safest thing to eat. But, I guess technically, it's not going to kill you. Well, we'll find out. McDonald's hasn't been around for that long. Although, they do, the burgers and sandwiches and all of that kind of stuff make up for over half the recommended daily sodium levels. And I wouldn't have even thought that, to be honest. And fries, obviously, salted as well. So that's a lot of sodium going into your bod. But there you go. There you go. Turns out, would have happened if you made a homemade patty too. Interesting. Weird news though. 21-year-old burger. Still going strong. Okay. That's it for my fast food news this week. And when we return from this break, we're going to talk a little bit about gender reveals. Have they gone too far? Most certainly they have, but we're still going to talk about it when we come back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And welcome back. So before the break, we talked about McDonald's patties, and now gender reveals. Yay, gender reveals. Have they gone too far? Many argue that gender reveals are just a fun way, to get the friends and family excited about the baby on the way and talking about it. Many others argue that they're really not necessary, and I say that this story proves that gender reveals have gone too far. So, this one comes to you from Twitter. She decided, this woman that was pregnant decided to do her gender reveal by shoving some blue baby powder up her bum and farting it out. Yep. She put blue powder up her cavity, if you will, and forced a flatulent bubble out. So, that's, I know some people that would love that. I know most people would hate it. So that's cool. There is a video of it. I don't recommend watching it. What do we think led to this decision? Like, in what context did this come about? Who said, you know what would be a great idea? I think we should do this. I feel really bad for this kid. You know, this kid's gonna be like, hey Mom, why did you do that? And she's gonna be like, well, I really wanted to get some likes on Twitter. Proving that this wasn't the only reason that I think gender reveals have gone too far. I found a couple of other fun ones for you. So this one comes from the parents-to-be. We're launching cannons into the air. And one of them hit the father-to-be in the, you can guess where. And the title of it was, Gender Reveal Maybe for Only One Child. So that's it for them, probably. Yeah, you can see in the video, you know, they're trying to have like this really cool, crazy, over-the-top thing, and then it just hits him right in there, and he collapses immediately, and everyone's sort of laughing. It's not ideal, is it? Not ideal. But then there's another one that I found where, oh, this one's actually pretty awful. So, one of the things that happened was like, they were trying to, like, set off these, like, explosive things, right? And like, the dad was using a high-velocity firearm, and instead of, like, it releasing the powder, it just created a massive wildfire. So, that's a little bit too far, don't we see? For anybody that cares, it was a girl. So what do we think? What do we think about gender reveals? Do we think that they've gone a little too far? Do we think that maybe we should stop making weird animations out of our children's futures? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Alright, well, that's enough for that. When we return, we are going to do some highlights of the week of my favorite weird news stories that didn't quite make the segments, but I still thought you'd like to hear about. All of that when we return from the break.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. All right. So, after our weird gender reveal set, we've returned to do some highlights from the week. All right. Number 5. Have you heard of the Netflix documentary Don't with Cats? Yeah. So the murderer, who was also a cannibal, who murdered animals and a human online, like he filmed these videos and put them online. Probably the scariest thing I've ever watched. I don't recommend watching it. I literally cried. I cried so much. He also mailed body parts of the man that he killed to political parties, both political parties in Canada, and then both opposing the party that was in power and the opposing party. Obviously, there's more than two parties. Political. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So he mailed body parts to them. I think he mailed hands to the conservative government and feet to the liberal. There's something to be said about that. I'm not really sure what he was going for. He also ate other parts of the body. Anyway, he announced this week that he will marry another inmate that he met in prison, who is now serving life for stabbing another inmate to death in the shower. So they're gonna marry in June, apparently. So that's, like minds find like minds, don't they? Why he thought this is the one for me? Either of them, really. Why either of them thought this is right. I'll never understand, but there we go. Crazy stuff. Murderer marries murderer. Number 4. An emotional support rabbit was on a 11-hour United Airlines flight from San Francisco to Japan, riding first class. Although first class in a United Airlines flight is like economy in any other flight. Am I right? Up top. Okay. Yep. So this little bunny, it had its own seat. Okay. Own seat, cushions, like treats, like the whole 9 yards. And I just did a couple of flights myself in economy, cramped up in a little ball, thinking, must be nice to be that rabbit. Number 3, a podcast for dogs launched to keep your pet calm while you're away. Okay, this is probably the cutest story of the week. So the podcast, right, does like doggy praise. Like, who's a good boy and or girl? Who's a good boy? You're such a good boy. And that's so cute, I want to throw up. It also plays like soothing sounds and soothing music to kind of like stop the bark, like soothe the barking, help them nap, and like feel like they have a little bit of company while you're away. And I think that that's so sweet, and I would love a job on that podcast. So please let me know. Actually, no, I don't really want that. I want to cuddle dogs. I don't want to talk to I want to cuddle dogs. So if anybody has a dog for me to cuddle. Number 2, tumbleweeds trap cars in the state of Washington. So, a bunch of cars were completely just covered in tumbleweeds. Covered. And it took 10 hours for a snowplow to remove them. A 30-foot high pile, mind you. That is nutso-butso. Alright, so number 1 in my story, in my weird news of the week, is female praying mantis. They've gotten a very bad rep over the years for, eating their lovers. man-eaters, if you will. And a new study has shown that this cannibalism, this form of erotic cannibalism, isn't actually just praying mantises. In fact, many spiders make this a ritual for them. Is it weird? Maybe. So, previously I thought that this was a necessity, the form of the, praying mantis, they always did that. Turns out, nope. So, for the males, only about 13 to 28% of them actually die, being eaten by their lovers after that. So that would be if 250 million to 539 million men in our population were eaten per year. Which, isn't that much. No, it's insane. That's a lot of people. Interesting stuff for me. And in the spider version. Alright, so the spider version, they damage their reproductive organs permanently. So they can't mate again. That one I see. That one I almost support. I almost support that one. So why does this happen? Why does this happen? In the mantis world, is it that they're hungry? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. A study did back this up. So, the well-fed ones tend not to do that. However, the nutrients of consummation isn't right. Consumerism actually does help her reproductive cycle. So that's interesting as well. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that this is something that exists in the world. Turns out that it actually helps survival rate. Yeah. So 90% of their amino acids are passed to the babies when they eat the males, but only 25% if they don't. So it's their form of child support. So complain about that now. Am I right? Yeah. Interesting stuff. So yeah, that's my weird news for the week. Thank you for listening to the Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review and rate the episode. It really, really helps us. So please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much, and have a great night.